We are talking technology. Matthew Dickerson is with us. What have you got for us today, Matthew? How are you?
Yeah, lots of things today. I was just saying to you before we went on air, Chris, that sticky date pudding's been ruling my life the last few days, so I've had to get away from that Christmas spirit and get back into good old-fashioned technology. So we've had a look around to see what might be relevant at this time of year for you.
Well, if you're running around with technology, hopefully you're burning calories, so it could be a good thing.
I like the logic. That means I can have more sticky date, Chris.
Yeah, there you go. What are the rules? What are the rules around hidden cameras in Airbnb rentals? And how can you check your holiday rental for? Can you check your holiday rental for hidden surveillance cameras, Matthew?
Yeah, look, a couple of good points there, Chris. The first one is the rules are that, say Airbnb, and there's other similar rental organisations that run, but the rules are that you have to declare any surveillance cameras on a property. But there was a case last year that brought this to a head where it was a New Zealand family, the Barkers, and they were over in Ireland, and they noticed that when they went to log on to the free Wi-Fi as part of the rental of the property, they saw one that was called IP camera, and they did a bit more snooping around, and suddenly they saw themselves on a website on a live feed from this particular property. And as you can imagine, they made a few complaints and a few inquiries, and they weren't very impressed with the whole process. But the rules are that any Airbnb, any rental properties that are out there, any of those short-term rentals, if there's any sort of surveillance camera, they should be declared. But of course, believe it or not, Chris, I know this might be hard for you to believe, but some people aren't honest and some people don't follow the rules. So I've got a few tips for you if you do book into some sort of rental accommodation and you want to have a quick look around. So I thought I'd just go through a couple of quick, simple tips. The first thing, obviously, is just have a look physically. Go around and look for things that look out of place, things that look like they might have just a little tiny dot in them. So if you see a clock on a wall and it's just got a little dot on it, or a smoke alarm, and there's another smoke alarm nearby, for example, those little hidden pinhole cameras are tiny now. So putting them behind a clock, behind a painting on a wall, inside a smoke alarm. I've even seen fake sprinkler heads that look like normal sprinkler heads, but they're just a pinhole camera. So the first thing to do is just have a bit of a look around those properties to see if there's anything you can notice that looks a bit out of the ordinary. The second thing, and this is exactly what the Barkers did, when you log on to the Wi-Fi, just have a look down the various things that might be there. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, similar sort of circumstances where you might be able to see some things around that might look a bit obvious. And when you look at some of those things, if you see something like IP camera or camera, I mean, if someone was trying to be really sneaky and they were a bit clever about it, they'd rename it. But some of those things that might just say something that sticks out to you that looks a bit different. The third thing is check PowerPoints. If you see, for example, in a bedroom or a bathroom, something plugged into a PowerPoint and you're not sure what it is plugged in because it's a bit unusual, for example, in a bathroom for something to be plugged in, follow the lead and you might find at the other end of it a camera. So that's obviously a simple way just to see something's there. Again, if someone's being very good, they wouldn't worry about having plugged into a PowerPoint. They'd have it hardwired or they'd have batteries in it, but that might be a simple way to just catch someone out. And I suppose the last thing is just be aware. Just have a general look around, look for things that are out of the ordinary, lamps that don't look like they're in the right place, or just things that look like they're in a position where they can be viewing things maybe they shouldn't be viewing. Look, hopefully none of those happen to you on holidays, none of those things stick out, and none of those sort of items are there ready to have a camera surveil you. But I suppose one of the things is just be aware of those sorts of things.
Sounds like good advice for combating the peeping toms, Matthew. Yeah. Listen, how can I open my fridge in a COVID-safe way?
Well, what you've got to do, Chris, is buy a new fridge. LG's newest fridge opens via voice. So you can walk up to the fridge, you can say, open the refrigerator door, and lo and behold, the door will open for you automatically. Obviously, a big focus on the pandemic here in this particular example, because they've also got a water dispenser, which is not that uncommon in some of the modern fridges you get, some of the modern high-end fridges. But this water dispenser has got a UV light, so it disinfects the whole water chain, if you like. So everything that comes down and where the water comes out, it disinfects that whole process. So when you get a glass of water, sure, you can't guarantee that the water supply authority you're using has got everything absolutely perfectly safe, but you know that all the parts of this fridge have been sanitised via UV light. As with most of these UV lights, they claim about 99.99% of bacteria are killed with the ultraviolet light. So you've got the ultraviolet light, you've got the automatic opening door. Again, some of these LG fridges have had some pretty cool features for a while now. They've got a glass door so you can see inside, so you can just tap on the fridge and you can see what's inside there. Again, trying to keep the whole fridge cold rather than open the door, look inside, close the door. Every time you do that, that's obviously letting some heat in or some cold out of the fridge. So again, the idea is letting you see inside the fridge to keep everything inside nice and protected. So some nice features in there. I don't have a price tag for you, but I imagine it's going to be a nice price tag with it as well, Chris.
We are talking technology with Matthew Dickerson. And what popular app might stop working after the 1st of January if I have an older phone?
Yeah, it's a very popular app, and it's something that's got about 2 billion users across the world at the moment, Chris. WhatsApp. And WhatsApp's been very popular for messaging, but people are using WhatsApp for a whole range of things, especially during the pandemic where they can't get close to people, they communicate with people. Around Christmas time, I can imagine WhatsApp usage would have gone through the roof. But a new update on WhatsApp means that you've got to have a later iOS or Android operating system to be able to run it. Now, don't be too alarmed because it's not the very latest iOS or Android operating system you need. It's one a couple of versions of. So you need to have at least iOS 9 or Android users need to have at least 4.0.3 on their phone. And the good news about that is that means that if you've got a phone that's been bought over the last probably 4 or 5 years, then it's going to have those versions of the software on there already. The main message here is do an update of your phone, make sure it's got the latest software on there anyway. And if it's a really old phone, you might need to replace it. But mainly most of these ones, you've probably replaced the phone already. It's just a matter of having those latest versions of the software on there. And this happens on a semi-regular basis, Chris. You'll see updates come out for various apps, and they're relying on you having at least a reasonably recent version of the operating system of that phone on there.
All right, and how does the government plan to reduce internet trolling?
It'd be nice if they could stop it, wouldn't it? And many people come in and ask me. I do have customers come along and say, look what's happened on here. Look at these comments. They're all rude and they're very not nice. What do I do about them? And unfortunately, at the moment, there's not much you can do. You can report them through to the social media site using them, but really there's not much you can do. But the government's now talking about a $111,000 fine. I don't know who comes up with these numbers, Chris. I don't know why 111000. Maybe it was because it was a binary number or something. I'm not sure. But maybe someone just likes to pick numbers out of thin air. But at least it's a significant fine. So if you go through and bully via any sort of social media site, any sort of cyberbullying, you can be subject to that fine. Obviously, the first instance, they want the information taken down. So if you go and post something, if I go and post on a website something about you and you object to that, the first point of call is to ask the owner of the website to take that information down. It's only then if you don't take it down that you are subject to these sorts of fines. And I suppose that the real issue here, Chris, is how quickly you take it down. It doesn't take long for something to be up online on a website, on a social media site, before it spreads like wildfire. So you could take it down, you could follow the instructions from the government and take something down, but by then it's too late, it's already been spread. And I suppose you've got the ability to go and sue someone, but again, it takes such a long process and the only winners there are solicitors. So at least if people feel like there's a potential fine, a government fine of a large sum of money, then maybe they'll think twice about it, or maybe they'll take it down fairly quickly. So it's not in law yet, it's not under legislation, it's really just a discussion paper at the moment, and that'll go through till about February, and then hopefully it'll be brought into law.
All right, and lastly this morning, Matthew, forget about finding a charging station for your electric car. Why not let a charging station find you?
It sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Volkswagen have actually teased an electric car charging robot, and it's got eyes, it makes sounds like R2-D2. Actually, it looks a little bit like R2-D2 from Star Wars. And basically, it's got a prototype running at this stage. So rather than go into a parking station and drive around, find where the electric vehicle charging points are and then park there, and hopefully no one with an internal combustion engine has parked there and taken your place, you basically pull into a parking station via your car or via your phone. You notify the parking station that you're there and you need a charge. And this little robot picks up a battery, takes it to your car, automatically plugs it in and charges while you're there, and then when you come back, it'll unplug and away it goes, or once it fully finishes charging, it'll unplug and go on to the next person. So again, it's this whole new world that we'll be moving into, Chris, where there'll be convenient ways to charge your car, and in 10 years' time we'll look back and say, how did we ever go into a petrol station and fill up a car with petrol? Because it's so convenient now doing whatever we'll be doing, and I can't tell you all the things we'll be doing, but I'm pretty sure that a robot charger will be part of that solution that we'll have. And I like the idea, and again, it's just those different convenient ways to get our electric cars back on the road.
Fantastic, Matthew. Of course, we can look for you on YouTube just by searching Matthew Dickerson and see all of your great stuff on YouTube. Thanks very much, Matthew. We'll talk again next week, mate.
We'll talk again next year, Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. We will talk again next year, sir.
Right. Thanks, mate.